Hey all, another Summer of Pain fight here, this time with Claire. I was originally hoping to get both the female objective and the science objective in one run with Wasp, but for anyone who hasn't tried her, for some reason her heavies are not always triggering that passive stun mid combo, even when Emma is in telepath form. Like, obviously, I know that it doesn't work in Diamond, but there were several times when she was clearly in telepath form and it just didn't work, and that means you get smacked. And anyone who's tried this fight knows how much that hurts at this point. So I decided to go ahead and just split it up and use Torch and Claire. Torch because he can get really solid passive damage that she's not immune to as long as you use the pre-fight. And Claire because she can do reliable damage in Hellfire mode, as you're seeing right here. Each of the 8 hits does almost 3,000 direct damage that cannot be mitigated in any way other than energy resistance, and Emma doesn't have that, so it's perfect. And the other reason is because even though I got my butt kicked a little bit by that first special, if I drop any lower, Claire can heal up. Or I guess even if I don't drop any lower. Now, if you use Curse of Blood to heal specifically, then you're going to want to make sure that you throw it in the Fury mode and not in the Armor mode, because it is based on damage done. And so if you're not critting and Emma has all that extra armor, which you can't nullify, then you're just not going to get much back. Now, for those of you who tend to run Claire with Recoil, that's going to matter less because that's probably going to be the main special you're throwing almost all the time. And you're probably going to be doing enough damage on average to just heal it back, so it's not a big deal. But if you're like me and you prefer not to run those masteries and you're only using the Curse of Blood L2 to heal, then like I said, make sure you land it while she's not in her armor mode. But once I got as much health as I wanted from that, I'm switching back to Hellfire here because I don't want this fight to take any longer than I know it's already going to. I'm going to drop it while she's in the Fury phase when possible because it will do more damage, but I'm not really fussed about it. I'm mostly just dropping it when I get my openings because the biggest portion of the damage from that L2, regardless of which phase she's in, is going to be all of that direct damage, the 3,000 per hit, because that's going to be almost 24,000 damage every time I throw it. Now, as you may have noticed by this point, I am also running maxed Mystic Dispersion, which means every time that armor up comes back and I hit her and nullify it, I get a big old chunk of power. And then when I cause an immunity, either by trying to incinerate her while she's incinerate immune in diamond form, or when her armor up tries to come back while buff immunity is up, I'm getting another charge, which gives me a little bit of power and allows me to nullify the next one that comes around. That's kind of a cycle there, pretty familiar to anyone who's used Claire a lot. But other than that, this fight is pretty similar to the other ones that I did. I'm not being too aggressive during the armor phase because it's just not worth it. Oscillate does make some things safer, but as you can tell, I mean, this Emma throws so many specials even in her armor phase of Oscillate. Just don't mess with it. So in general, I'm waiting that out, taking the openings when she does throw specials, regardless of which phase she's in, because odds are it's just going to help get me to my next L2, which is all that really matters in this fight. And when she doesn't have a bar of power, I'm just trying to stay out of her way and block whenever I'm far enough away from her that she won't throw a light into my block. And eventually she will throw heavies, and those are my easiest openings, right? You can also straight up intercept, and I will a few times through here, and you can backdraft, but that's honestly pretty risky. This Emma's light intercept game is on point, and you can get taken out really quickly if you're not careful. So, speaking of not careful, there I end up taking another special. Not ideal. I want to wait until it falls off completely because I know that the power I'm going to get from Mystic Dispersion there is just going to barely let me switch back into Curse of Blood. But that was a fair chunk of healing. We're probably not going to get the next L2 off in this armor phase. Or sorry, that Fury phase. But we can be ready for it in the next one. We're just going to save this because if I threw it now, I'd heal for almost nothing. And this silences how a lot of this fight goes. I honestly just wish that Kabam had just, given her another 100% attack or something and not given her Oscillate. Because I understand that they want to make it punishing on block, but this node is just so boring. Pretty much no matter who you end up using for it, you just sit there watching her spaz out being defensive for that whole time. In my opinion, it makes for a very boring fight. And there she throws it right before she changes like she does so often. But we get some good healing. The last hit crit, and I wasted it almost immediately by blocking a hit, but we are now kind of in a decent mode, or at a decent level for health. So I believe that I start to switch back. No, okay, I'm going for one more. Then I believe I'll switch back to Hellfire. So as you can see, though, we're still in a good position on the HP race. If we ate another special, we'd probably be in trouble, as low as we are, but it's still okay. What I should have done there is try and pushed her a little further so that the last few hits of that L2 would have happened while she was in telepath form and not diamond form, because then I would have done more damage and healed more. But it's okay. I'm just assuming at this point I'm going to be nice and careful. I switch back to Hellfire. I just want to finish this off. We are barely ahead in the HP race, but as long as we play carefully, we'll finish this relatively quickly, all things considered. If you play better and you don't have to heal at all, then this fight can go a lot faster for you. But this was... I think this was only my second real attempt with Claire. I had brought her in, and I think I ate a combo immediately before either of us even got to a bar of power, if you want to call that an attempt, and then I came in and did this one. So you're seeing a lot of things that I would have tried to polish out in another run, but you're also seeing just how sustainable Claire is, so I feel like it's still worth showing this less clean take. You're also seeing why I prefer to run Claire without recoil, because while she can heal back the damage from it very efficiently, she's one of the best at doing that, I do think that you lose a fair amount of utility when you do so, because then we would have to worry more about the phases, more about the forms, because we would have to be getting in those big crits to really do damage against Emma. This way, because we don't have to worry about healing back up from recoil, we can just stay in Hellfire mode and do that guaranteed damage every single time. And for me, that just makes for a less stressful and more predictable fight. And I'm going to take that every time. I'm just going to let it play out from here, though. I don't believe I get hit again, but the strategy should be pretty clear at this point. And there you go. I think she's definitely one of the safer options for that particular objective. But let me know who you used. I saw some really interesting solos. I mean, Gilly 99 and Ghost are obviously fantastic if you have them and can make that work. But for anyone who doesn't have them at a high enough rank or doesn't feel comfortable with them, I would highly recommend this one. Worked very well for me. Let me know in the comments how your experience thus far this week has been. Catch you next time. Take care.